it's me again. Today, normally what I would do, I would be doing a Living Dead review, but today it's going to be something completely different. And, you might hear like pages being flipped in that. And that's because the story that I'm about to tell you is, I written it down on here, so if you hear paper, it's just this notebook. Or maybe some pieces of paper that I drew last week. Well, anyway, today I'm going to be telling you a story of the doll Annabelle. Well, if you've seen The Conjuring or the movie Annabelle, you would know who I'm talking about. Okay? And the two movies deal with the Annabelle. It is, yes, it is based off a true story, but the storyline that they do is false. In The Conjuring, there's no children involved with this. There is no parents, no 5 children, none of that. But yes, Annabelle is a real doll, and yes, the Warrens are real. But in the movie, they depict Annabelle as a porcelain bride doll. And all in reality, Annabelle is no more, no less than your regular old classic Raggedy Ann doll. So let's begin the story. And like I said, I'll be moving around a little bit because my screen will go dark, and that will annoy me. Give me 1 second to turn on the lights back here, so that way it'll be a little bit more brighter. Okay. So here's the story. Let's see. In 1970, a mother goes to a hobby store and buys her daughter a present for her daughter's birthday. Okay. So she buys her a Raggedy Ann doll, a vintage classic Raggedy Ann doll. And Donna, the daughter, and her roommate Angie are happy with the gift and puts it on Donna's bed, and as a decoration, like you would with all sorts of stuffed animals. Never gave the doll a second thought. A few days later, the doll begins to move. The movements at first are subtle. Like, when it was placed on the bed, it would be put straight, and sometimes it would be on its side, or on its other side. But over time, the movements became more noticeable. Like, Donna would leave the doll on her bed. She would come home and find the doll on the couch. She would leave the doll on the couch, come home and find the doll on her bed with the door closed. And sometimes they would find the doll on the couch with its arms and legs crossed. And sometimes they would find the doll standing on its own legs, leaning against a chair. And y'all know Raggedy Ann dolls? They're a rag doll. They do not stand. They're made out of stuffing. So this Raggedy Ann doll was no different from any other Raggedy Ann doll. There was nothing in it to make it stand, move, or anything. And sometimes they even caught it kneeling. From some stories that I've seen, they caught the doll kneeling, and when they tried to do it, the doll would just fall over. Soon they also began to find notes. Not only could the doll move, but it could also write too. They would find notes in their apartment that would say, "Help us," or "Help Lou." Now keep the name Lou in mind. The name will come up later in the story. So, the creepy part of it was not the fact that it was written, but where it was written on. It was written on parchment paper, which no one, including the girls and the friend Lou, like I said, keep the name Lou in mind, no one in the house had parchment paper. So, where the heck was the parchment paper coming from? Well, one day, Donna came home and found Annabelle on the couch. She had moved, which was the normal activity for Annabelle, well, the doll. But there was something different with the doll. She looked on the doll, and on the back of her hands and on her chest were were red droplets that looked like blood, but could not be distinctive. And that's when the girls both decided to call a medium in to get more help. So they call in a medium with, and the medium tells them that they are being possessed by that the doll is being possessed by a ghost of a young girl named Annabelle Higgins. Now, Annabelle Higgins was 7 years old when she was 6 years old when she died. But if you ask Ed and Lorraine, the story is a little different. Like in the beginning, how I said the doll was a birthday gift. In their story, she was a Christmas present. And the girl Annabelle was 7 years old to the story, not 6. But the one that I'm telling you now, she was 6 years old. And she had died in the field where the apartment complex stands. But if you ask them, they say that Annabelle had died in a car accident right in front of the apartment. So that story is a little wobbly, but basically the general idea was a young girl had died around the complex, and that the spirit of the young girl was inhabiting the doll because she felt that Donna and Angie to be protective and safe and trustworthy. So Donna and Angie, being modern women that they were, gave Annabelle permission to inhabit the doll and haunt the apartment. Let's see now. Not everyone, though, was convinced of this story, like Donna and Angie were. So, their friend Lou thought the doll was evil and told Donna to get rid of the doll. She refused his wish, and that was a grave mistake. One night, Lou woke from a bad dream, and he could not move. He was paralyzed. Don't know why. He looked around the room and found nothing out of the ordinary except for Annabelle. Annabelle was at the foot of the bed. Or in another story I heard, he was sleeping on their couch. But in the story, I'm saying it's a bed. So he had found her at the end of the bed, and she had glided up his legs and onto his chest and stopped. With her stuffed hands, began to choke him, and he blackened out. The next day, he and Angie were looking over maps for a road trip that all three were going when a noise from Donna's room came out. Lou went to the doorway and waited until the noise waited for the noise to stop. Then came in. During turning on the lights, Lou looked around to see if there was a forced entry, but everything was in the ordinary, except for Annabelle was sitting on the corner as if she had been tossed. When he got to the doll, when Lou came towards the doll, he got a burning sensation. You know how when there's a person staring behind you, you get that burning sensation that you know someone is staring at you. You turn around and you see a person. Well, that exact same thing happened to Lou. Only when he turned around, there was no one. He realized that no one was behind him, and before he knew it, he was doubling over, grabbing his chest, and was in pain. Uh, he uh, he had checked his he had checked and saw not one, not two, but 7 claw marks were on his chest, and they were cut and bleeding. And that was enough. Now, Donna was finally willing to believe that Annabelle was more than what she had seen, more than just a ghost. So Donna and Angie both decided to a had called a priest. The priest had ended up calling the Warrens. The Warrens got there, and it did not take them long to figure out and find out that Annabelle was not indeed of a ghost girl, but indeed a demon doll. Not doll, demon doll. Now, that kind of freaked them out because demons don't possess dolls like they were told. That it was when they were told it was a young girl. Ghosts haunt pretty much anything. They can haunt stuffed animals like this cow and anything, but not demons. Demons can only possess human, and that's exactly what Annabelle was doing. She was trying to latch onto Donna's soul. So the Warrens got the priest to do an exorcism on the apartment that they were living in, and under Donna's request, they took the doll with them. They decided to not go. They decided to stay off the highway and didn't go up to 60 miles for in case Annabelle was still attached to the doll. They were right. The car had failed. Like the brakes stopped working, the power steering failed, and sometimes the engine would cut out at some turns. And so Ed ended up pulling. Ed Warrant had pulled over and sprinkled holy water on her, and after that, the drive went smooth. Soon they built her a glass case that she resides to this day, and has not done any harm except for the one time. And I think that this was not a coincidence, and this was a story as well. I don't think this was a coincidence. So a young man goes to the Warrens Museum where Annabelle is currently located at with his girlfriend. He goes up to the glass case and begins to tap on it like this and says and begins to say, and I quote, "If you can put scratches on a man, then do something to me." Shocked, Ed tells the man to leave. 3 hours later, the man is dead and his girlfriend is hospitalized for a year from a motorcycle accident. The man went headfirst into a tree. Like I said, I don't think this was a coincidence, and quite honestly, I think he was an idiot and deserved it because he was he was an idiot for doing it in the first place. And if you go there, there are signs that practically say, "Hey, don't aggravate the doll." There's only 2 signs. One of them is in the glass casing part, and it says, "Warning, positively do not open." And then on the top, it says, "Do not touch anything," which that's more or less meaning the glass case. But if you're at a museum, you would know, hey, if you cannot touch this thing, don't touch it, just look. And that's what he failed to do. There is another story that's not so real well known, and it's before they built a glass case for Annabelle, they put her in Ed's and Lorraine's. Lorraine is Ed's wife, and she's currently alive today. Ed is not. Rest in peace, Ed. But before they built the glass case, Ed put the doll on a chair. Things would levitate. When they left, they would put her in the outer office, I want to say it was called, or a shack or somewhere like that. They would come home and find the doll in another room. Well, the one time they had a priest go in there and perform a blessing on the doll, and the doll he took the doll and said, "Annabelle, you're nothing more than a simple rag doll," which was a lot better than what the guy on the motorcycle said. And Ed and Lauren were like, "Dude, no, don't say that. Do you have a death wish? Do not say that to the doll." And so he went home, and before he left, Lorraine had told the priest guy to call her as soon as he got home. So soon, a few hours later, he calls and he said that he got into a motorcycle, not a motorcycle, but a car accident. But he was fine and well and not injured. But quite honestly, I don't think that one was also a coincidence either. I do think the demon did come and mess with the cars. But that's just me. There are some people who would be like, "Oh, it's just a coincidence that he just got into a car accident, almost got into a car accident, or the guy went into a motorcycle accident and died," because motorcycle accidents, most people can die from that. But my opinion, that was not a coincidence. That was not a coincidence at all. The dude did die. The dude deserved to die because he was tapping on the case and aggravating the doll when there was signs that basically said, "Do not aggravate the doll." But anyway, that's just my opinion. Let me know what you think of the story. Um, are you a skeptic like that young man was and that priest was, or are you like me and do you believe that this story is true, that Annabelle did indeed kill the guy in the motorcycle and almost kill the priest? Let me know. Let me know in the comments down below. Click the subscribe button for me, please, and like this video, comment, subscribe, and I will be getting onto more Living Dead Doll videos. As you can see, I have more. I should be able to do longer videos now. There's some things I had to verify with YouTube. So hopefully now I will be able to do longer videos. So the one I'm going to start with would be Luna. Then I'll probably be doing Quack, Holly Katrina, and Marion Crane from the movie Psycho. Pretty much that's it, but I'm also probably going to be doing another story on two more dolls. One is named Mandy the doll, and the other one Robert the doll. So hang in there for those two videos. Like I said, click the button down below, like, subscribe, and thank you for watching.